Not gonna lie, this hair is definitely giving like 80s like disco vibes. It's kind of crazy, but we gotta make the most of a fresh haircut, you know? Hello everyone, it's Meg. Welcome to a new video. Today I feel like it's like the perfect video to film because it's rainy outside. It shouldn't be raining since it's actually June when I'm filming this video, but I feel like rainy days are made for like reading and talking about books, and I am going to be doing a book haul if you can already tell by the title. I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of the books that I have bought throughout the entirety of 2026 so far, and not going to lie, I've done pretty well for myself. I've bought under 30 books, I think maybe 26 roughly, something like that, books, and I've read a fair amount of them. I'm probably 50-50 in the ones that I've read and the ones that I haven't. But I haven't done a book haul in ages. I literally only do these about like twice a year because I try to be like more mindful these days of like how many books I buy, because obviously I do not have a lot of space. So make sure you guys grab yourself like a cozy drink, a hot drink, a tea, a hot chocolate, whatever takes your fancy, get cozy, and let's talk about all the books that I have bought so far this year. So I think let's start with the books that were new releases for this year. So technically I actually bought these last year because I pre-ordered them, but obviously they came out this year. And I do have an anticipated releases video for this year. I will try and remember to link it in the description if you want to check that out. But there are actually quite a few releases that I'm interested in getting on the second half of the year, so I might make a video for that. Let me know if you guys would like that in the comments. Let's start with the releases that I purchased. So I have two that came out in January and one came out in February. So first one for January is I Don't Think I'm Straight by Isabella Daughter, and this is a collection of poems. I'm assuming it's sort of like a memoir-esque kind of poems about the author coming to terms with her sexuality. I love novels in verse, I love poetry, I think that's quite clear on this channel. And I've never read anything by Isabella before. I followed her on Instagram for a while, but I've never felt interested to pick any of her collections up until this came out. I still haven't read it yet. I do definitely want to read it soon. I should probably read it during June since it's Pride month. We will see, but yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing what I think about this. Obviously she is a very well known like TikTok poet, so I'm intrigued to, you know, see what I think about my first book by her. Second January release was Cherry Magic Volume 15, and this is probably one of my favourite manga series. I really love the anime as well. It's so cute, so wholesome, and I really enjoyed this. I think it wasn't quite 5-star for me from what I can remember. Like I literally read it like as soon as it landed on my doorstep pretty much, but I know in this book I do remember it talks about slightly more like serious topics and topics that are like important to talk about regarding like same-sex relationships and same-sex marriage, particularly in Japan. So I found that really interesting, and it does mainly follow Tuji and Minato in this one. It's nice to see their character development, so I really enjoyed this. You know, I think there's only about 2 more volumes left in this series, which I think is probably about the right time to wrap this series up. So, you know, I'm looking forward for the next volumes, and I will always adore this series. And then the release that was in February is The Elsewhere Express by Samantha Soto Yambao. I was so excited when I knew this book was coming out because I really love Watermoon by the same author, and I had high expectations. I can't remember whether I read this during a reading vlog. If I did, again, I will leave it in a link so you guys can go and check that out. I was let down by this though, not gonna lie. I think I just couldn't grasp the concept of this magical train. I know obviously it's a fantasy, so it can defy your expectations, but it just, even though it was a fantasy, I still couldn't wrap my head around it, and I think it was just a little bit of a letdown for me in that sense. Like obviously the writing was gorgeous and everything, but yeah, this was like a 3-star vibe for me. You know, like I still enjoyed it. I have annotated it still, but yeah, it definitely wasn't as good as Watermoon in my personal opinion, but I will definitely be continuing to read the books from this author. I can't wait to see what she comes out with next, because they are very like magical and gorgeous, and I do really enjoy reading her books. So next, let's talk about the books that I got from my Rare Bird Books advent calendar, and this is the second time I got my advent calendar. If you don't know, Rare Bird Books is a bookshop in Edinburgh. It sells only women's fiction. I believe it's like women run, women owned, only sell women's fiction, and I have been there. I've really enjoyed it, but they also do a Christmas advent calendar, and you basically have a blurb behind each door, and at the end of the 24 days you can choose which books you want and they will send them to you in the post. So these are my picks, and I have actually read 3 of them. I only have 1 more to read, which I'm very impressed with myself, not gonna lie. So let's talk about the book that I read out of these first, which is The Wedding People by Alison Espach. And I feel like this book has been around quite a lot since it came out, and I was curious about it, and I must admit I really enjoyed this. This book does deal with some like quite heavier topics, but it's also incredibly hopeful, and I love the characters in this. I love the development, the complexities, and their like interactions with each other, and I feel like this book also holds a lot of wisdom and can also be very relatable for a lot of people. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It was just a really good vibe. I enjoyed the writing as well. I feel like it is definitely worth the hype, in my opinion, and everybody else who has also read this book that I know agrees with that. So this is the first book from my advent calendar. Sweetness in the Skin by Ishi Robinson. This was a more recent read that I read, and again, I actually really enjoyed this. This is basically a coming of age story about our main character called Pumpkin, and it's set in Jamaica, and it's about family, it's about love, it's about friendships, it's about coming of age and kind of trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. There are definitely some trigger warnings, so just make sure you look that up before you go into this book. But again, this book is also incredibly hopeful, and I feel like the ending is quite satisfying. And I didn't know that this is technically a historical fiction, because I'm pretty sure it starts in maybe like the 80s, I think, from what I can remember, and it does actually take place over a couple of years, from when Pumpkin's around like 11 till around like maybe 14 or 15, something like that. There's also a lot of baking in this book. Pumpkin is a baker, like she loves to bake, so you get to see kind of some of like the sweet treat cuisine that they have in Jamaica, which is always gorgeous. I always love like books about baking. This is also a debut as well, I believe, and I feel like she did like a really good job, seeing as this is a debut. Like I said, very much enjoyed it. The Lantern of Lost Memories by Sunaka Hiragi. This was actually my most recent read from when I filmed this video. I was really surprised how much I liked this. Not that I didn't think I would not enjoy it. I just think I thought I would enjoy it, but I didn't quite realise how much I would actually like enjoy reading this book. This is a book that is translated from Japanese, and this is my second translated from Japanese fiction that I've ever read, and it's basically about this photo studio that is in the place in between life and the afterlife. Like when people die, it's where they go before they go to the afterlife, and they get to look back on all the memories that they had when they were alive, and they get to relive one of those days again before they are passed on to the afterlife through this lantern. And I was like, okay, this is alright at the beginning, but when I actually got into this, because there are like 3 protagonists that we follow who come to pass through this photography studio, and I enjoyed every single one. The characters definitely had, like, they were layered, they were complex, they were all so different. And it makes you reflect a lot. I feel like this sort of like Japanese translated literature, I believe it's probably similar to like Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It's that kind of vibe where it's like reflecting on like memories and things you could have done differently, and kind of seeing the good in the moments that you have lived and the memories that you have lived in the past. This was like a very, very good book for me. Like I said, very, very much enjoyed it. It was also a very short read, very easy to read. I think like the translator did a good job. Let me give you the name of the translator, because how dare I not do that. So this is translated by Jessie Kirkwood. because we should always mention the translators whenever we talk about fiction. And then the last book from my advent calendar that I haven't read yet, but I do want to read this month scene as it's Pride Month, we have Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austen. And I'm not quite sure what this book is about. I've got a similar vibe. I just know that it's queer. I know that the main character is on the spectrum, and I don't think I've ever read a book where the main character is on the spectrum, which is abominable, and I really want to read more books with characters on the spectrum, seeing as I had quite a few people who are like, you know, on the spectrum take a shot of tea or whatever every time I say on the spectrum. I feel like this might also talk about mental health as well. I'm not really sure, but it's meant to be like a funny romantic book. I feel like it's got friendship in it. I don't really want to know too much going into it, not gonna lie, but I'm looking forward to reading it. I really hope I enjoy it because I feel like I have pretty much enjoyed every single book from this advent calendar. Like I said, this is the last one, so it's probably going to be like my next read. Time for some manga, and I bought most of this during a book shopping trip that I did to Manchester. I will leave the link to that video because I did film it. I had a great day. It was gorgeous, like back in April. So let me share with you the books that I got from that. So firstly, I got volumes 1 and 2 of Our Haru Ride, Our Blue Spring Ride, as I know the anime as. I watched the anime of this, I believe, beginning of this year, and I am absolutely obsessed. I have been trying to find somewhere to watch the anime because it's quite difficult, at least in the UK, and I have found somewhere and I devoured it. I love it so much. I'm really sad that they never made like a second season. They only kept it at 1. However, it does mean that I can still relive it and continue the story through the manga. This is like a slice of life romance. Yeah, I just loved it. It was one of those animes that are like more romance heavy that like it just really sat with me. The depth and like the character connection and the layers and kind of like the relationship between them. It was just, it all hit. It was so, I don't know, satisfying might be the right word. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I just, like I said, I really adored the anime, so I'm really looking forward to going back and diving into the manga. I know this is a favourite series for a lot of people, so I'm really excited to give it a go and to see how this story ends as well, most importantly. Nana Volume 2 and 3. I read Nana at the end of last year and I really wanted to like it because I know it's so many people's favourite mangas and I can confirm I really enjoyed it. Again, this is like a series that I got a similar feeling from Blue Spring Ride with. It was definitely like that, like multi-layered, complex characters who are very imperfect, but at the same time you root for them. I really enjoyed it. The art style's very different. I really love that. I love the fashion in it and kind of that like grungy, like rock and roll vibe. I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to continuing with the series, and then once I've finished I can watch the anime as well. Apothecary Diaries Volume 2 and 3. Again, I read the first volume last year, really enjoyed it. I've already watched the anime, I love the anime, and I very much enjoyed the volumes of this. I was debating originally whether to go for the light novels, but I chose the manga in the end, and then maybe I will go into the light novels in the future because obviously there will be like more detail and more insight regarding like the characters and the plot and all that sort of thing. Yeah, Apothecary Diaries is always a fun time, and again it's very well loved. I really love it. And I'm looking forward to continuing with the series. Skip and Loafer Volume 11. I actually read the entirety of this manga series earlier this year, and I only bought this and read this more recently. And if you guys don't know, you probably don't know actually, but Skip and Loafer is one of my favourite mangas and animes of all time. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Volume 12 comes out the week of my birthday, which is absolutely perfect. I just love the characters in this. I love Mitsuki, I love Sasuke, I love them together as separately. I really love the friendships. That's one of the things I really love the most about this series, is the friendships. I think they're so beautiful. Like, it's very like imperfect, but there's just something about like a really gorgeous friendship group that really gets me in like a novel, whether it's like a manga or like a fiction novel. They're like, one of my favourite things is friendship groups and beautiful friendships, and that's what I really love. So yeah, there's a lot to like about this, and I'm so looking forward to pick up the 12th volume when it comes out next month. Then the last manga is A Star Brighter Than the Sun, Volume 1. I have watched the anime for this twice. It is so sweet that it gives me a toothache, but I actually kind of love it at the same time. It's just really gorgeous. It's very sweet romance about like two people. It's that trope where it's like two people both really like each other but they don't know the other one likes them. And I love Koki. I love how much he blushes. We need more straight men that blush the amount that Koki does. It's just very adorable. I am going to be pre-ordering the next 3 volumes because they actually come out pretty soon. I know one comes out in July, one comes out in August, and then the other comes out, I think, actually on New Year's Eve. But there are 5 volumes out in English currently, so we have another 3 because I believe that there is going to be an anime season 2, which is so exciting. I'm so excited for that. So yeah, I adore this, and I'm definitely going to be picking up the rest of the volumes at some point this year. Now let's just talk about some other random books that I have acquired. Like I said, some from my book shopping vlog, and some are just, like I said, just random picks that I picked up. So we have My Year in Paris with Gertrude Stein by Deborah Levy. I have always been intrigued by Deborah Levy. I've never read anything by her. I've always been intrigued. This is her newest release, and this book was not what I expected. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It was definitely not what I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a historical fiction novel, and turns out it's not. It's basically a fictional story about the author trying and failing to write an essay on Gertrude Stein. So this book kind of goes in between like modern day Paris, where the author is living. She also has some friends in Paris and kind of their antics, and also her like writing, like trying to write this essay. Then we also seem to have segments from the essay about Gertrude Stein as well. And I guess you kind of see where the author and Gertrude Stein's writing process kind of combines together, because Gertrude Stein's writing style was very abstract, very modernist. They say that she was like the godmother to modernism. She was like somebody who collected art. She just seemed like a very interesting person, and you kind of see the lines blur a little bit between the author and Stein's writing and process and all that sort of thing. It was quite interesting and it was insightful. I have tabbed some of it, but like I said, it wasn't what I was expecting. But that didn't make it a bad book, you know. I did still enjoy it altogether. There's No Turning Back by Albadi. I'm not going to pronounce her last name. I will put it here if you want to read it, because I am terrible, really terrible at pronouncing names, so I'm really sorry about that. I have been wanting to read something from this author for ages, especially because I found one of her books called The Forbidden Notebook, I think it's called. And I found it and I read like the first page once in the bookshop and I absolutely adored it, but I never bought it. So I've been meaning to pick up one of her works ever since, and I actually ended up picking up this one. I don't know much of what it's about. I know that these are translated from Italian and they're more like modern classics from what I gather, because this book at least was published in 1938, and I think it's about, I'm assuming it's like slightly feminist. I think all of these books are slightly political and feminist, which is obviously a great thing, especially for books that were written around the time of World War II. So it seems like it's about a group of women who are studying at university, and it's about like all the elements of all their like getting like a little window moment into all of their lives, and how they're all trying to find their own version of freedom within the life that they already have, or even outside the life that they already have. It just seems very interesting. I'm very intrigued. I hope I like this, because I do definitely want to pick this author's other books up that are currently out. I am really intrigued and I really hope I enjoy this. Hour of the Star by Clarice Lispector. This is an author I have been intrigued by for a while, especially since Leah from Leah Crompton. loves Clarice Lispector. I know she's her favourite author, and I am intrigued, not gonna lie, she's definitely influenced me with this purchase. I honestly don't really know what this is about. I know it's very short, it's like under 100 pages, and the writing is meant to be incredibly beautiful, maybe even slightly philosophic. And yeah, honestly, I'm genuinely intrigued. So I will report back once I've read this and tell you guys what I think, because I really hope I do like it, and then I can pick up more Clarice Lispector in the future. This is also translated from Portuguese, I believe, by Benjamin Moser. Also, I forgot to say the translator for this book. It was translated from Italian by Anne Goldstein, so there we go. Upstream by Mary Oliver. This is another book that I have read. I've actually read more than I thought I had from this pile. This is one of Mary Oliver's prose books, and it's basically a selection of essays that she has written about her relationship with the natural world and with art, and also her favourite writers, and how that has affected her writing and her life. This is definitely something that I had to digest. I had to read slowly so I could fully digest it, which is a very different vibe to a certain extent to her poetry, because the poetry is generally quite easy to understand, but this definitely took a bit of like a slower, more methodical reading method. I really enjoyed this. I preferred the first section. It's split into a couple of sections. The first one was my favourite. I wasn't as keen on the rest of them, but it was still like a solid read, and I love Mary Oliver. I intend to read everything that she has ever published, and I'm excited and glad that this was the first prose book that I read by her. The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I am aware how late I am to reading the series, however, I am very much enjoying my time. I really love Caraval. I read it when it first came out. I really adored it, and I've been having a really fun time with this. I read this book fairly recently as well. I really enjoyed it, not quite as much as the first book, and I still have the third book to get and read. I will probably buy that for my birthday, like next month. Very much looking forward to finishing the series, because I should be able to finish the book in time for the novella to come out, which I'm looking forward to getting. I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering that. I feel like everything has ever been said about Stephanie Garber's books. You know, they're great fun, great time. They're just a really good escape. And as somebody who isn't a fantasy lover, these are, a really nice read, a good escape to have. And then lastly, in terms of just these random books, we have Heaven Official's Blessing, Volume 1. And I watched the anime for this beginning of this year, I believe, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's a bit out of my comfort zone because it's like a fantasy, and it is a little bit confusing to a certain extent. However, this is obviously a very popular series. The anime and the light novels are very popular, very well loved. So I'm glad that I am on the Hwa-chang and Shillian bandwagon. I'm really happy that I'm a lover of the series. I really enjoyed this book. It definitely goes into more detail and clears up about certain things I was slightly confused about in the anime, because danmei turns out can actually be quite confusing, or at least this kind of fantasy type of danmei, historical fantasy. I really enjoyed it though. The writing is very easy. The translation was really well done, I thought, as well. This was translated by Suika, I think that's how you pronounce their name, and Penji, I believe that's how you say it as well. I definitely plan on continuing with this series. I'd like to maybe pick up the second book of this at some point this year. We will see. But yeah, this was my first ever light novel, and it was definitely a good experience. And last but by certainly not least, we have a very gorgeous special edition collection of all of Jane Austen's novels. These are the Illumicrate Jane Austen exclusive editions, and I'm so excited. You guys should know, obviously, that I am a big Jane Austen fan. My channel name is literally a change on words, a make on words, a play on words, whatever you want to call it, of Pride and Prejudice, and these are the books. They're so beautiful because, fun fact, I don't have a matching set of Jane Austen's books. Not that that really matters, and it's a very first world problem, but it's nice to have. And can we appreciate, look at that, how beautiful. Can we take a moment So let me show you all of the books individually. So firstly we have Northanger Abbey, gorgeous, stunning. Then we have Emma. I love the daffodils and the hydrangeas on this. Sanditon, again, absolutely gorgeous. This is actually the early Jane Austen novel I have never read, fun fact. Sense and Sensibility, Mansfield Park. I especially love this with the violets on it. I think it is so stunning. Persuasion, one of my personal favourites. I love the forget-me-nots, very, very like symbolic to this book. And then last but by certainly no means least, we have Pride and Prejudice, one of my personal favourites once again, and this definitely gives Lizzie vibes to me with the boots on it, so fun. I'm very happy and grateful to be owning these books. They are definitely taking pride and pace on my shelf up here. They are so, so gorgeous, and I'm very happy to finally have like a matching collection because it's something I've wanted for years. And now I finally have that, which is wonderful. So those are all the books that I have bought so far in 2026. My card was full, I forgot where I was up to, filmed the rest of the outro, then realised I hadn't actually pressed record. That is such a classic me thing. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know which books I should get to next. What are your recommendations on this list that I have not yet read? And if you've got to this part of the video, make sure you comment a book stack emoji if you don't know what to comment, because I feel like that's just a very like classic vibe when it comes to like a book haul video. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. I will leave the links to my social media along with my Goodreads and Fable in the description down below for you guys if you would like to see more bookish content that you will not find on this channel. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you again very soon. Bye guys!